Hi, I'm Mario Munoz.
And I'm Tom Muñoz.
And we're here today on behalf of Graphy to share with you the importance of focusing on the now.
So, one of the things that we recognized earlier on at the beginning of this year when the entire world actually changed, is we didn't know where we were going to go if this is something that we were going to sit around and wait for things to go back to go back to the normal. Or were we going to be proactive in what we can do in this moment to generate income for our families? And not just our families, but all of the families that we support within our studio as well.
Well, considering one of the things is we can't take pictures, so we looked at our own company and decided what is it that we can do to make changes that we otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to take advantage of that time for. And what we did was we reinvented our own company, our own brand. We looked at our marketing structure. We realized that if the future of events was going to be virtual, or the future of meetings was going to be virtual, we needed to gear ourselves up to be able to sell virtually. So that's via Zoom, even our company meetings, all being able to work from home, creating remote access for our employees. And that kind of partitioned into how we were going to increase sales and how was that going to look for the future of our company.
And when you mentioned that, at the beginning of this, we couldn't take pictures. Like, everybody was locked in. So we went back into all the pictures that we took throughout the entire year and said, okay, let's see what we can do to sell to the families that never ordered a wedding album. Let's get in contact with the families that we photographed from the schools and see if we can get them to reorder some of their school pictures and give them some incentives. So, at the beginning, that's how it was for us. Now, there's been a lot of changes, and depending on where in the country you're at, you have more restrictions than others. We're fortunate that we're down here in South Florida, where things aren't as strict as they are in other places of the country. So currently, right now, we are photographing weddings every single weekend, and we're really excited to share with you the things that we're doing now to book weddings for the future and some of the exciting things that we have coming up. But let's get started a little bit back.
Well, I think one thing that we need to talk about a little bit is our company as well. We are a little bit diversified already prior to this occurring, where we're not just wedding photographers. We also photograph a few different high schools, and we also photograph families. So one of the things that was very important,
commercials
and commercial productions,
yep.
But one of the things that was very important to those families, especially for schools, was that we were creating a safe environment where they felt comfortable to come to our office to have their children photographed. So we took all the precautions by the CDC. We created a promotional video. We rebranded our company to make sure that everyone knew that we were being safe, which gave us the opportunity to continue to photograph those families. And with that, we adopted new sales techniques and new products.
Well, and a completely different production as well, because we recognized early on that you got to be in front of people to take the pictures, right? And there is something about that in-person sale. Like, when you're able to sit there and show somebody an album that they can touch and they can hold, and you have the prints up on the wall. And we said, well, what do we got to do to change to bring the amount of time people have to meet with us down? So it really came down to, even from the shooting room to making sure that the images are going directly online, to lining up retouchers so that people are seeing their photos right away, going to the next experience. And within a week, we're showing them designed albums in printed prints that we never thought possible before. So, it really had us look back at our production and say, okay, how can we speed things up? How can we make it easier for people to do business with us and give them an incentive so that they have great value without having to come to our office 4 or 5 times?
And to follow up on that, one thing that we did take advantage of was the product lines that Graphy offered. Originally, we used Graphy solely for our wedding albums. So our original wedding books that you see here. And one of the things that's great about Graphy is they're not just an album company. If I was going to say the word, I would say they're like a family. Where when it came up to the point of, expressing to them that we did have these seniors and we wanted to offer different products, they actually recommended the different product lines for us, such as the Go Book and matted prints and image reveal boxes, which have been a tremendous seller for our families. And on top of that, gave us the opportunity to look at our company like a business and take advantage of the relationships that we were really building with those families. To the point of, those families aren't just the seniors that we're going to photograph when we say goodbye. We created different sales techniques to funnel those families' relationships to build them into further family portrait sessions.
How many seniors did we have come in with like a sister or a brother that was getting married, and we ended up booking the wedding from a senior portrait sale that they were coming in for a 15-minute session?
Right. So we took advantage of that and also introduced them to our family, introduced them to our business, and impressed them. That was our opportunity to impress them to become future clients, and not just for that one particular shoot.
Well, I want to, this isn't in any of the notes that we have, but one of the things that has been really one of the driving forces in the decisions that I'm gonna say that Mario has made was, we want to impress people in every opportunity that we have. So I remember when we first started doing the underclassmen, my brother came to me and says, I want to spend $40,000 in t-shirts. And I went, okay, let's do it. But when we showed up to the school, every student had a gift: bag, backpack, t-shirt, hand sanitizers, little candies and chips for the kids. When you walked into the gym, there was these banners that said, welcome the next class, and all of the marketing material and all of the creative sports shoots that we do. And we were showing the family portraits as well. So what we tried to do is take every opportunity that we had in touching a client, from whether it's taking the photos, whether it's online, whether it's on social media, how you actually conduct yourself on the shoot itself to try and impress them.
I would say something that kind of motivated that decision was something that a mentor of mine said, and that is, perception is reality. So take yourself and put yourself into the place of your client. If you are perceived to your client as strong, they want to do business with you. If you show yourself to a bride and you look desperate, like you need that job to survive, that instinctively is going to push them away. So the stronger that you're able to present yourself, the more confident that you are perceived, the more success that you're going to have. Marketing and making impressions on those families was very important, because what we were able to do is not only create an impression to all of those families, but also look at down the road for future potential for work, from family portrait sessions to weddings and events to commercial projects to business headshots of those families. So taking that consideration and looking at your business and reinventing yourself, that couldn't have been done without this downtime that we had to be able to really analyze ourselves, I would say.
It's actually the combination of two different things. It's downtime and necessity, right? Because let's face it, necessity is the mother of invention. And, we culturally, being, second generation here in this country, and our grandfather and father coming from another country and needing to figure it out because they needed to. And that is some of the values that they instilled in us, which I remember having talks with my brother saying, I feel kind of like how Abuelo must have felt when he was bringing his family from Cuba, or at least we speak the language. So, it's...
Let me move you on to the next topic. One of the things that I'm sure that a lot of people are curious about is, what does our 2021 wedding bookings appear today, especially considering all of those weddings from 2020, or the majority, had to be postponed to 2021. So why don't you go ahead and explain what you'd call that for us today?
Well, when you said perception is reality, we have been doing our best to show that we are busy, reinventing ourselves, creating videos and presentations and sharing. And what we've recognized is at this point, people are done, right? They're getting married, whether they're getting married at their house, in a park, on a beach, flying somewhere. And the one thing that has not decreased in value is the importance of the imagery. In fact, on the contrary, I think people now, because so many friends and family cannot make these events, the investment in high quality photography and high quality cinematography, just capturing that day, has much more value now than it did before. And the budgets are different, because now we're not dealing with a 250 person wedding, we're dealing with a 50 person wedding, but the budget's still there. So,
and I would say you probably, if you're a wedding photographer, you probably did hear the conversation from clients saying, since I'm now not having 150 people and I'm having 20 people, is it going to cost less? And the way that we handle that discussion is no, because there's
no, not going to cost less.
very clearly, I'm not cooking food for you and your guests. I'm not providing flowers for tables. We're photographing you, the bride, the groom, the family, and that's the most important thing.
Whether it's just the two of you getting married, or you have a couple hundred people watching, our focus is on you.
And I think that's what's one of the benefits and one of the very fortunate things that we as professional photographers have is that is still something that people are going to value, and it's not something that we need to discount our services for because of the size of the event. Now, with that being said, I would say we had in our studio around 180 events postponed from 2020 to 2021. And that was a very difficult thing to do. Business-wise, if you moved every single one of your events, and just so you understand, we could do probably close to 300 events a year. If we moved every single one of those 180 events to a future Saturday, we would be losing that additional income going on to 2021. So what we did was our best to convince our couples to move those weddings to a Friday or a Sunday, or an off day during the week, which I would say maybe about 90% of them did. So our 2021 looks to be close to 350 to 400 weddings, probably the busiest year that we've ever encountered going forward. However, not all of those events are large events anymore. Some of them are still smaller guests.
Well, how do you define large, right? Like, I would say the biggest wedding we ever did had 10 people at it, right? Yeah. So let's.
It was the smallest and the biggest, but that's not the point. The point is, moving forward and looking at all of those events, we've had a lot of those events turn into destination weddings. So if you told me that you were planning a 150-person wedding, now it's 30, that opens up the opportunity to get much more creative with your budget. So I would say that's...
Wait, where have you been this year so far, right? You've been to...
Ravello, Italy, Tel Aviv, Israel, St. Bart's, just booked a wedding in Hawaii. We're booking another wedding in Cabo San Lucas. So
we've had weddings in North Carolina and Virginia, and some of the couples that were having destination weddings here decided to bring us back to where they live because they no longer were able to travel. Their friends and family were there, and what we listen.
I think the word is it's an exciting time to be a photographer. Yes. Is really what it is, and as long as you are bettering yourself and bettering your brand and looking at how you look and are perceived to the public, whether it be via Facebook, Instagram, your website, your branding, those are all things to focus on. Now, one of those things, if you really look at how do you represent your brand, is how are your products looking? What is the company that you're using for your products? For us, we made the decision to switch to Graphy a few years ago, and it's been one of the best decisions that we've made in our company, because not only does the Graphy company take care of you, they are a family. When it comes to issues with clients, rushes or deadlines, reinventing your product line, elevating your brand, these are all things, the Made in Italy logo itself. I don't know to you, but to me, when I hear Made in Italy, I think of, Versace, Gucci, Salvatore Ferragamo. So when you say that,
I think you think about those things. Right.
Maybe I do, but when you hear those words, they automatically represent quality, and that's what Graphy is. So let me go ahead and move on to the next topic. One of the things that I wanted to discuss was our product line that we currently offer. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but maybe Tom can go ahead and explain what is it for the albums do we represent or that we currently offer for our clients.
Well, for our wedding clients, and just because we're a studio that isn't doing 10, 15 weddings a year, we want to standardize things, and we want it to be repeatable, and we want our sales staff to be able to communicate and know the products. So when it comes to our wedding albums, we are using the original wedding book, and our clients love it. They love all of the cover options, all of the paper options. I mean, I'm in love with the new deep matte paper. But what we're doing to get that sale, because I think a lot of photographers still photograph events and aren't really concerned about making that album sale, right? They want to get on to the next job. And trust me, it's a very big challenge trying to figure out how to get wedding albums done, high quality, high speed, to be able to have, again, make it easy for people to do business for you. Because that's one of the things that we heard in the past was, we love your photography. The day was amazing, but the album process, right? It was very tedious. So we really sat there and we scratched our heads and we said, what is it that we can do to make this easier for the client? And instead of looking at what was easier for us, We said, okay, what would be easier for the client? If I was getting married, what would be the fastest way that I could see an album? And the answer is to show me an album, right?
Correct. So what we did was we decided to pre-design albums for our clients. So to answer the question, the type of albums that we use is the original wedding book is what we offer. We offer go books as well for our engagement and our senior portrait books, as well as family sessions. Some family sessions will choose to do an album, and possibly not an original wedding album, but the go book is a perfect affordable option. Next, we created a new product line called the Reveal Boxes, and those have been an incredible hit, because what we do is when we have an in-studio sales presentation, we actually pre-print the photos matted on a wall, so the client walks into the sales room and they see the physical matted prints displayed.
Now, and that might sound simple, but when you're doing it to 15 appointments a day for 5 days a week, and every single one of those images have to be retouched, printed, and hand matted, that is where it became a challenge. And I remember right before the senior season got started up and we got one of our new schools and we were starting, we made a decision saying, listen, I think Mario told me, he goes, when do you buy Mickey ears? Right? When do you buy Mickey ears?
When you're in Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't buy them when you go home.
Right.
So
I remember calling Maureen and saying, listen, I forget how many thousands of mats that we need. And they said, we're going to get this done for you. And when she called me the next day, I found out that the entire matting team over at Graphy spent the entire night getting our mats cut so that we could make our seniors when they started, because we needed to offer this to every one of them, because if we didn't offer it to one senior, we could not do it to another based on what the school required us to do.
And I think the answer to our company and our family and our belief in everything that we do is we don't have all the answers. We are constantly reinventing ourselves. We are constantly doing everything that we can. And we implore all of you to do the same. Those image boxes and the reveal boxes were something we never even imagined selling. And they were a tremendous revenue source during a time that our entire country was in duress. And what we found is those families one of the things that occurred during this time that was positive, I would say, is people focused more time on their families.
Very, 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 very true. And since they couldn't do anything else,
they did family portraits. And they valued them. And we created with Graphy's Reveal Boxes a different product line that we didn't offer. So I would say those are our product lines. Going into the album process, to follow up with what Tom was recently saying, how did we make the album process easier? We began designing our albums in Fundy, which I'm not too familiar because this is his area, but the Fundy proofer is aligned with Graphy. So yes, you design your albums with Fundy and submit the album to be printed through Graphy?
Well, especially for the Go books, and when we were doing the seniors, having it easy to place an order is very important when you're doing a lot of books, right? Because literally we designed this summer over 1,000 senior portrait albums, right? Now, when they approve that album, within 2 or 3 clicks, right from Fundy, we're able to submit the order straight to Graphy and have it drop shipped directly back to the client. And that's actually how we handled all of our prints as well. So when people come to our office, we're actually showing them from an online sales platform. And when they leave, they don't have to come back to get their prints. Everything gets sent directly to them, whether from the prints to the Go books to the matted, huge acrylics. And we found that people wanted to do business with us in the future on other projects because of how easy it was to do business with us on this.
So one of the things that we'll touch on really, really quickly too is competition. And maybe you're listening to this because you heard that Tom had last year, the first place wedding album. That was a perfect scoring album. I actually had a perfect scoring album as well. It didn't win first, but that's to be discussed later.
Well, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So, but however, we're really excited to see how the future pans out for not just our company, but the entire industry as a whole. I would say that we have realized that our country and our industry will forever be changed. Personally, I think events will be changed to being smaller, more intimate, more focused on memories, which is great news for us. In my opinion, the wedding industry is very much alive. And I think that the future for everyone is going to be incredible as long as we continue to keep the focus on what's important in your life.
What the focus on what you can do like right now, right now, right? Because when you sit there and you wait for things to become how you think they should be in your mind, you're not learning what life is trying to teach you right now. And I believe that to be 100% true. You know, I like to fish. And if I'm fishing and what I'm doing isn't working, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change my bait. I'm going to go to a different spot. That's what we did with our business. We expanded the scope of how we were able to generate revenue, and we educated ourselves into being able to enter in different markets. You know, we lightly touched on the commercial side. Like, you know, that is something that has been not only really exciting, but a great turn in our future.
So the next thing that we'd like to discuss is the importance of education.
Well, to go back to what this is all about is what can we do? What are we going to do right now to make a difference, to make a change? And for us, education and competition has been the heartbeat of our studio. You know, when we were younger, all my brothers, we all wrestled and we would compete on the mat. Now we compete with our cameras. And I would say when I talk to bride and grooms, the one thing I hear more than anything else is, I can tell how passionate you are about what you're doing. She goes, I can feel how much you love what you do. And the way that you do that, it comes with the hard work that goes into the time that you put in yourself into becoming a better photographer. You know, another thing that I tell our clients a lot is, when you're one guy in an office thinking that what you do is great, there's very little room for improvement. But when you got little brothers that are coming up with bangers every single weekend being like, this is what I did, right? It really goes, wait. Let me show you what I can do, right? And it's that healthy, competitive spirit that has allowed us as a family not only to work closer together and to enjoy our lives, to be more successful in business. And it's all a result. Like, the awards are just a result of the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I would say also, by entering competition, you not only better yourself as a photographer, you gauge where you're at, as well as you create display albums for yourself to book future work, as well as you give albums to venues for marketing. One of the things that's been very successful with us, and why I would say we're on the majority of the preferred vendor list at all of the venues, is our wedding albums that we provide to the venues help them sell their venue. They're in the same business of trying to book weddings. So
well, especially now. The better you are as a photographer, combined with marketing, taking care of your clients, the perception that you have to your community and to not just the families that you're servicing, but other photographers as well. Those are the things that make the biggest difference in your future, right? Yep. So, we also believe in going through our degrees. So pretty much all of the photographers in our studio are all master photographers. And a couple years ago, and PPA has been talking about this for a very long time, is they came up with a Master's of Wedding Photography degree. And that spoke to us because, I hate to say it, when you look at competition throughout the years, you look at these great these portrait guys and these wedding guys, and when they come to entering competition, they're in a picture of a landscape or something they took on vacation. Why? Because they felt that it scored better. Why? Because weddings are hard. Yeah. So the wedding degree, what it did was it kind of makes an adjustment in how the judges are looking. You're not taking into consideration what your couple looks like or how amazing the venue is, but really looking at the skill of the photographer and how he was able to do work for a family and make it something incredible, regardless of whether it's at Mar-a-Lago or they're getting married in a barn.
And that's what the true testament of a wedding photographer is, and I think that's why we enter wedding albums. Is we don't, as a wedding photographer, we sometimes refer to ourselves as like the MacGyvers or the Navy SEALs of the photography industry, because we're out there creating images in uncontrolled environments, having split seconds to make the decision that we're going to make. So
while dealing with all the emotions of the day and mom not being happy because this wasn't done, and we have to juggle all this, make everyone happy, and create a body of work from that event that gives us the ability to take care of our families, right? You know, I tell people, I go, my job is to make it as difficult for you to pick as possible, right?
And one of the reasons why we want to enter wedding albums is, in our opinion, you know, being able to take one pretty photo at a wedding. You know, I can give a camera to anyone who's not even a photographer, and they can get lucky. You know,
listen, I brought we bring our kids to weddings, right?
Yeah, all the time, man. But to be able to put together a complete body of work, you know, that is impressive to me. You know, to be able to see a complete story from beginning to end put together in an incredible album. You know, why did we choose Graphy? To come back to that, we chose Graphy because they have the nicest albums with the best possible quality, and they are aligned with our brand. And I want our brand to be luxury, and they are luxury. So one other thing before I go through, and I'm going to have Tom kind of take you through his album from last year so you can see what the quality of these books are, is this year we actually have, which we'll find out tonight, 6 out of the 10?
We have 6 out of the top 10 wedding albums in the world this year, and I believe we have 5 out of the top 10 wedding images. And actually, just a couple days ago, my brother Mario, my brother Marceliano, who is in Alabama right now, and myself, we were the first 3 Masters of Wedding Photography in PPA, and we're really honored to be that. And when we were talking about the competition in itself, for me, being judged as a wedding photographer on wedding images is something that I take a lot of pride in, because not too many people do it, even the guys that do weddings.
Right. And I think that if anything that we can do for the industry to inspire other photographers to better themselves and to enter, I employ all of you to enter print competition, enter the album competition, and join us, because there's nothing more that would make us proud than having more entries to compete against. So with that being said, I'm going to have Tom go ahead and take you through and show you his album from last year, which was printed on the Graphy's deep matte touch paper.
Well, why don't we talk a little bit about their new printing process and the HD printing. You know, some of the differences, you know, besides it being better for the environment, but on a technical point, you know, on the new HD printing, they're able to print with larger color spaces. So you're able to print with Adobe rather than printing just with sRGB. And I don't know if anybody has ever experienced this, but what that really means is it's giving you a lot more colors to transition from. Have you ever vignetted a blue background and when it goes to print, you see these like lines in the little banding, right? You don't get that when you're printing with a larger color space, because it doesn't have the missing gaps of those colors. So
that's why I keep him along with me, because I don't pay attention to that stuff. But also, don't they have 3 times the archival life on this?
It has 3 times the archival life, and the different mediums that they're able to print on. You know, I remember when metallic paper was like the number one thing, right? Now we still print on metallic, but the richness that we get out of like the deep matte look on that HD printing. Like people, they'll open up the book and they're like, they want to touch it. You know,
well, the feel of it is impeccable for one. I hear that it's got no chemicals in the printing, so it's safer for the environment.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I remember when we had our silver halide machine back there with the thing that was collecting silver, and you know, people would come and pick it up, and you know, a lot of times some of those things don't always go to where they're supposed to go.
Right. And you don't have the fingerprints from the touch. I mean, it's incredible. So. I'm gonna go grab that book and see if I can show you.
I think we got it right here. So there we go. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually flip through this book with you. So this album scored a 100 at PPA last year, and was the first place wedding album internationally at PPA. Now I am gonna give Mario a little shout out. The book that's sitting right underneath this, which I definitely think we should show you as well, also did score a perfect 100 as well, and did win first place, just not at PPA. So I would say we both won.
We do all right.
We did okay.
So one thing to talk about is if you could touch this yourself, the deep matte touch paper, not only you don't get the fingerprints that traditional prints have, but the feel is so rich and the quality is so incredible. So go ahead and turn the pages, and guys, enjoy this book. This book is absolutely spectacular. I'd be more proud to have shot this myself.
It's so nice. Doesn't hurt that the bride's beautiful. All right.
And on that note, me and the fishermen want to say thank you, and Graphy, for this opportunity to share with you a little bit about our company and about our family. Thank you very much. Take care.